Good morning and welcome to Kramer's Corner with daily technical update. It is Wednesday, the 6th of March, the day after US market sold off a little bit. We had S&P 500 about 1% down, testing the lower rising trend line here. But what was interesting was the candle the day before Monday here was that it's called a gravestone doji. It could signal a top and reversal pattern. It will be confirmed if we break below the lower rising trend line, and especially if we take out 5,030, then we could see a larger, but a correction down to around 4,900. Nasdaq 100 also looks a little bit toppish, and we have talked about it for quite some time now, that the RSI divergence has been indicating the uptrend quite stretched. Touched the support at 17,808, more or less on the dot, a few cents below, but we did close above. If we start closing below, we can see a close of this little gap we saw here, and then we have a potential down to 17,478, possibly a little bit lower, maybe touching the 55 moving average, and then we can see a bit of a correction going into the end of rest of March. And if you look at the update I sent out yesterday on the Magnificent 7, or not so magnificent, no, it wasn't yesterday, it was Monday, sorry, that there's some of them that are strong and there's some weakness. So there are cracks between those, amongst those 7 shares there. Stocks 50 is still doing good. Could we have a move to 5,000? It is not unlikely that it could maybe try to push higher there. We're still above the steep rising trend line. Didn't close, well, it closed more or less spot on it here yesterday, opening this morning, trying to get back up. Still divergence on the RSI, but I will stick with the trend as long we haven't even been close to testing the gap. We are still quite bullish, so I'm still quite bullish on it. DAX could have formed a little bit of a toppish pattern, but we are still in an uptrend, and it is still intact despite having divergence. So we could see it trying to climb higher, and if it takes out the peak here from the other day, 17,817, well, then we are looking at 18K. Amsterdam index. Broader picture of the last couple of weeks, actually been trading sideways. If it can take out the peak here from a few days ago, 859 and a quarter, well, then we could possibly see and push higher. Key is still this gap area here. If we get RSI to break back above its rising trend, falling trend line here, sorry, then there's a good chance that possibility we will move higher on the Amsterdam index. CAC 40 sideways trading. We have this doji-like candle here. Sorry, not doji, bearish engulfing-like candle here. That is signaling a little bit of a top, but again, I want to see it breaking below the lower rising trend line, and especially closing this gap before I really say, okay, now we have a larger correction ongoing or unfolding. The Swiss market still potential to 11,600 level, resistance level here. Euro dollar trying to move back above the 38.2 retracement, and this morning it seems like we are having another go. Can it move back above the 55 moving average? We can see that it seems to be a little bit of a resistance, to be honest. The 100 moving average coming up, the 200 also slightly rising, and they are a little bit stronger. If we can get the RSI to close back above 60 threshold, well, then we are in a positive sentiment and likely to break the 109 resistance with a move towards 109.70, 110 level. So look out for that. On cable, we are actually moving above the 127 we closed above yesterday, and now there's potential to 127.75, but I think we will move higher. I think it will take out. It is a fairly strong resistance, as you can see several times it's touched there, and then I think we will move higher if we can also get the RSI to close back above 60. But you see here, we have the 100 moving average very close to breaking above or touching, and it will break above the 200 moving average. Both of them are ascending, so the underlying medium-term trend is bullish. We have dollar yen basically sideways trading or range trading, 149.20. Look out for that. If we see another break below, I think we will see a move down to 147.70 around here, where we have the 100 moving average giving some support, and also the 55 coming up right there, and it is 61.8 of the entire uptrend right there. If it breaks out to the upside, well, then we are looking at 152, but at the moment it looks fairly depressed. And Euro yen seems to be struggling a little bit. It is still in an uptrend. There's no divergence. We should see it moving higher, but it is still struggling. If it can get back above these peaks here, at 163.5, well, then I think we'll see it move to towards the 165. But let's see about that. But I think the underlying trend is bullish. We also have the 55 that actually broke above the 100 moving, and both of them are ascending. So it looks fairly bullish on the underlying. Also, the yen seems to be some support here, just around 97.35-ish level. We touched it again this morning. If we can get back above the peak here a few days ago at 98.20, well, then I think we will see Aussie yen making a new high in coming weeks. If it does take out, and I think I will, if I were you and you have it on your screen, just draw a little bit of a support line there. Say, okay, if it breaks below that, well, then we are looking at 96.85 to 61.8 retracement down here. However, we are in positive sentiment. I think we will see a resuming uptrend. Dollar Canada still trading in this rising wedge-like pattern here. Still look out for 136.25. If it breaks above, then we are looking at the high level there. If breaks the lower rising trend line, which I don't think it will, but again, it could. Then we have some really strong support around 134.40 level, and around 135 we have the 55 coming up. We have the 200 moving flat there, and so it's a little bit of a tug of war at the moment. I think the underlying will stay higher. Aussie dollar, I think it's a bit frustrating at the moment. Can't really make up his mind. Do we want to go down or do we want to move higher? I think eventually it will move lower, but it's really struggling, and we can see a lot of conflicting behavior. We have 55 coming down, but we have the 200 basically flat and the 100 up. So I can't really make my mind up about the Aussie dollar, and this shoulder-like pattern seems like it's getting obsolete, becoming obsolete, because it's really frustrating. Normally it would go lower, and if it doesn't, I would say, well, I will probably remove all these indicators later today, because I think this is fairly frustrating move. Dollar Swiss trading a little bit sideways. I think we could see a move down to around the 87.5 support. Really strong resistance around the 61.8 retracement, just below 89. So that is the level to break out of. Downside 87.40. So I think we could also be range bound here for a little while. Finally, on the dollar index, seems to sliding lower despite being in a positive sentiment. We could see a move down to test the previous dip here at right there. It's really strong support at 103.13, and the 38.2 retracement. We have the 55 coming up here, but then we have the 100 moving lower. So I think we could see a downwards pressure to at least 103. Gold spiked higher yesterday and made a new all-time high, and also an all-time high close, but failed to close above the 21.34. However, we are in a fairly strong uptrend with potential higher, and let's look at the weekly chart, because that can also give us a little bit, and it actually indicates that we could see 2200 or 2191 at the 138.2 projection of this correction there, but I think we will we have to look higher for for gold towards 22.25 and possibly even higher. Really strong uptrend on gold, very bullish indeed. Expect a little bit of a correction here the next couple of days. I think it needs to regain some strength here and just take a breather, and then we'll see in the next move a higher. No guarantees though. What was interesting was silver. Yeah, silver spiked higher. We are in an uptrend with higher highs and higher lows, but it couldn't close above the cloud. And if you are interested in using the cloud a little bit, you can add it to your chart and just look for, especially when you have these these horizontal lines here. It's a little bit tricky when you have a more rocky borders here, but when you have these lines here, they are really good guide for resistance and support. I want to see a close above before I really call it flaming bullish on silver. We are in a positive sentiment, however, so we should see another try higher. Today I only want to talk about WTI. We are skipping Brent because it's really boring at the moment. But look out for WTI. I think we will have another push to move back above the 79, 77 key resistance. We are in an uptrend, but it's a little bit fragile. It's not really, can't get its momentum. But let's see. 82.56 next resistance, but we could also move up to 84.50-60 level. But still, it is a little bit struggling at the moment. Let's have a look at Henry Hub gas that actually touched just with a few cents above the $2. Could see maybe another push towards a little bit higher, 204 maybe, the 38.2 retracement and the 786 retracement, depending on where you measure from, and then I think we will start resuming downtrend again with potentially lower levels. But for now, still staying afloat a little bit, but I think we'll resume downtrend fairly soon. Finally, on the U.S. Treasury yields, U.S. 10-year dip below 411, still holding up above, and we have the 55 giving some support, rising there. So still with a slightly negative undertone. We will see US 10 years being locked in here, but with a slightly negative tone, at least for now. But let's see if it can actually hold on the next couple of days. That's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.